Using make is like defying the laws of physics.
Make allows me to multiply myself and time travel.
I knew right away, this will be how I manage things in future.
Without Make, we'd be spending hours manually triaging the thousands of applications we receive daily.
I can't count the number of hours I've saved using Make.
In Japan, many people are struggling with inefficient manual work processes. Unfortunately, there are few reliable domestic tools, and the language barrier has made it challenging to adopt foreign tools. I find the ease of setup and intuitive interface of Make to be incredibly promising.
This has unlocked the magic of low code.
I'm 100% fully self-taught.
I love the logic branching, the look.
I never thought this would be a real thing.
Make is our weapon of choice.
This tool is genuinely transforming the way I operate.
It helps calm my whole mind.
Make is the most incredible tool I have ever used.
Please welcome Make CEO, Fabian Veit.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Make Waves 2024. Wow, so many of you here today. 500 people in this amazing former power station. And I'm absolutely sure we are going to light it up today together. I'm seeing a lot of new faces and a lot of faces from last year as well. So it's really great to see how we're growing the community here. And it's amazing to welcome you all. So whether you're new to Make and automation, or whether you've been with us from the very beginning, it's great to have you here. And I can assure you, we have amazing stuff for you in store today for this day that we've planned out. But before we get ahead of ourselves and think about the future and what's coming, I want to ask you to time travel with me, back in time a little bit. Back to November, actually exactly this month, but 165 years ago. Back to 1859. You may wonder, what is this about? Actually, this is when Darwin issued his book, published his book on the origin of species. So this is the month when Charles Darwin published his book on the origin of species. And it learned us a great deal about how populations evolve through a process of natural selection. The idea that beauty and diversity of our world stems actually from species that have evolved incredibly successfully. Species that survived because they adjusted to the outside world at the right time in the right way. And those who didn't are not ours to observe today anymore. In other words, it's not the strongest species or the most intelligent that survives, but to paraphrase Darwin, it's the one that's most adaptable to change. And while Darwin's observation was rooted in nature, you can actually also apply this to the business world. So let's try to map that. What does it mean for us? It's quite simple, actually. Out there, the competition becomes fiercer and fiercer every day. What does it mean when rapid development and advancements in technology are happening around us? We need to face this, and it pressures us to keep us and stay ahead. And it's two challenges that become really clear from that. It's this need to adapt to change and this requirement to be able to adjust to that change. And it's true for organizations of all sizes. Whether you're a small or a large enterprise, you need to adjust. Businesses must continuously evolve and find new business models to stay relevant in the market, to meet customer expectations, and to react to technological advancements. If you fail to adjust, you'll simply be outpaced by competition. In an era where competition is fierce, businesses really need to be able to be flexible and responsive to change. You need to stay ahead, and you need to seize opportunities, embracing new challenges, adapt to shifts in technologies, customer needs, and market dynamics. So, in fact, adaptability and agility are not any buzzwords here. They are essential to business survival and the success in the current business landscape. Think about this in terms of a business. Imagine a business as a cheetah. It embodies agility, speed, focus, and precision. It's a prime example of the survival of the fittest, actually, a true representative of Darwin's theory about evolution. But just like the cheetah, how it relies on its speed and its agility to survive, a business in this world is no different. Companies who emulate these abilities to pivot, to sprint, to move fast are the ones that seize the right opportunities and stay ahead. So, in other words, it's all about agility, or may I say business agility. And we believe it has become essential in today's company's landscape to continue to adjust and embrace this business agility. It's about adapting to change, and true agility means that you create streamlined processes that reduce bureaucracy and inefficiency. It's about fostering a culture that embraces innovation in your organization. And it's about ensuring alignment across your departments and functions in order to remain agile. If you embed this thinking and this agility principle into the mindset and the culture and the core of your operations, then you can proactively address change and respond to outside events, seize new opportunities in the market, and drive sustained growth. And we wouldn't be here today if we couldn't confidently say from our side that no-code solutions will play a more and more important part in this story. It will play a bigger role, and it will continue to enable and promote business agility. Already today, no-code automation fuels this in many ways. For instance, by enabling speed and flexibility in organizations, but also by allowing individuals to disrupt the status quo and to find new solutions to challenges they face. And a platform like Make can be critical for those individuals who want to move fast, and for you as an organization to allow them to iterate and scale in response to emerging opportunities. And it's not just us saying this. So take a look at a few of these news from the market. Everyone agreeing that providing experts with the right access to no-code technologies helps them solve their unique business challenges that always are a little bit different. These tools actually help them to quickly test and iterate on finding new solutions and adapting to the needs around them. And even more so, in this statistic here by Gartner, you can see by 2026, we're expecting that no-code will account for more than 65% of all application development activity out there. I think that's really huge. But there is no one better to emphasize this than our own customers. Many of you here today with us. And I'm super excited to share some of these success stories of real disruptors, of visionaries, of people who challenge the status quo, innovating and making progress reality in their business with Make. Let me share some of these incredible successes. So the first example, Teleclinic, a great example of an organization that is innovating across their entire operations, staying lean and agile as a result in order to respond fast. Or look at MoveWorks. It's driving efficiency gains with Make, improving their competitiveness in the market every day. Let's take a look at another one. Webflow is increasing their customer satisfaction through Make and delivering outstanding results with that. And last but not least, let me briefly talk to you about Finn, a customer who scaled and expanded so successfully by promoting the right mindset that positioned no-code technologies and Make at the very heart of their business. Thanks to Andy, who's here as well with us today, a real challenger of the status quo and visionary, and they have become one of the most sophisticated customers. He will be here today talking on stage as well, so I strongly recommend you to listen to a session later as well. But all of these are real-life customer stories from people among you here today. And they are driving business agility day by day, innovating in their businesses. So it's examples of you disrupting and challenging the status quo. And therefore, I think it's absolutely fair to say that we can call all of you real innovators in this room. Many of you would probably not, by default, call yourselves this way, but I think we can make a great case for it. And you should all be very proud of that yourselves. So please give yourself a big round of applause for that. Thank you. Okay, we've been touching on adaptability and business agility. Let's think about it for a moment and take a glance at the pivotal role that innovation plays in this. We've been exploring this across all of our customers, and we've learned so much by doing that, how you are innovating alongside us. And fundamentally, we see 3 layers of this. On the operational level, you're innovating processes, changing how you're operating day by day. But on an entire business level, you are innovating your business, deeply impacting how you're creating value for your customers, reimagining how your business operates as a whole. And some of you are actually even taking it to the next level and disrupting the entire industry by launching new, innovative business models, unlocking the power of automation, the power of no-code, and the power of AI to change the game for an entire industry. At that level, it's not about an individual or one team in the organization, one visionary who does it all. It's about the culture in the organization. It's about the company's culture and the mindset that you're creating. It's really specific about how you're operating and how you're approaching it. And some of you might have not noticed, but I just used no-code, automation, and an AI in one sentence. So let me drill into this for a second, because I think if we think about changes in the world around us, there hasn't been any more transformative impact and change in recent years to our business world than the advent of AI. So as good Darwinists, what do we do with this change? We have to adapt. And it's incredibly impressive to see how well so many of our customers have adjusted to this change in the world around us already. 2 years ago, very few people thought that generative artificial intelligence would be even relevant for the business. Then came ChatGPT, and the world suddenly changed. Now, only 24 months later, OpenAI is already the second most used app on the Make platform, right among traditional productivity tools like spreadsheets, email, chat, and so on. Wow, I think that's really impressive and a great adjustment to that change. No matter the tech stack, no matter the business, so many of you have already leveraged Make and AI together to get it into your business workflows and create change. I believe this has become absolutely critical, and we all have to think about this. But why is it so powerful? Whenever you chat with an AI, that doesn't really execute work for you yet. Yes, you will get very creative responses, maybe the idea for your next talk or your next presentation title, or even the content that you want to create. But still, you need to work manually with it. You need to copy and paste it, bring it back and forth between systems again and again. Only when you actually automate this and bring the interaction with AI into the workflows that you're operating on day to day and deeply integrating it, only then you're actually unleashing its full power. And many of you have understood this really well already. And that's what we see across our customers. So many already embracing it. It's absolutely stunning how this has accelerated. The use of artificial intelligence on our Make platform to integrate it into workflows has already 4x'd in the last year. Absolutely massive. So personally, I believe it's absolutely fair to say that the combination of automation and AI is a real game changer. Unleash it, and you will accelerate the time to market. You will improve customer satisfaction, and you will reach new levels of productivity for your organization. But if you dream big enough, you can take this even further. And we've seen this in our customer base. Some of you have built entire businesses on our technology in combination with AI. So here's 3 examples for you. There's Fullware, a new platform that enables businesses to interact with customer feedback across all channels, from social media even up to Google Maps. There's Movable Type, a new service that helps you to finally become an author, write that book that you always wanted to publish but never had the time for. Or look at GoJob, offering an AI-powered solution for your recruiters to really multiply their capacity. Thibaut actually will be speaking later today about GoJob and what they are doing there, so really check it out. But what's most important, for all of them, at the very heart of their operations, Make and AI are critical to their offerings. So if this inspires you, let me challenge you a bit here. What is keeping you from launching a new offering in the market for which you've been keeping the idea for way too long around you, but you haven't yet executed on it? Now is the time. You can build this faster than ever before. Okay, this was a lot on adaptability and the need to change. And I think we've seen a lot of examples of how customers really embrace this and the way of how they have been responding to change. But in order to make this happen, you need to empower the innovators, the right bright minds in your company, and you need to unleash the innovation. So let's take a look at the business world and satisfaction with innovation today. While there's 84% of executives that agree that innovation is absolutely critical for their growth, or maybe we should say survival, there's only 6% of these that are really satisfied with their innovation performance. Can you feel that dissonance, that dissatisfaction of executives with the actual innovativeness? But let's give this a positive spin. Every challenge also means opportunity. It means that there's tremendous opportunity to create and innovate the way we work and do business. 94% highlights the great opportunity to build businesses that can actually adapt to change with the right speed and the right agility to do so. And in just a couple minutes, we're going to help you understand how these concepts are being applied through our product in Make and make it into our product vision and roadmap. But before we go there, let me give you one recipe to think about business agility and how you can tackle it head on. Over the years, we've spent a lot of time with customers. And so today I want to share with you what I believe are the key ingredients to unlock this innovative potential for your organization to truly achieve business agility. So while I'm going to talk you through this, I encourage you to think about your very own business and how this is applicable to it. There's 3 elements. First, there is the will, the motivation to innovate. It's about the mindset of people. It's the belief that you can find solutions to all problems and you can overcome the challenges. And it's this urge in people to create new solutions. Often, they are not aware that they can solve their challenges with no-code technology, with automation, with Make. But you can impact this by sharing success stories, by looking at what others are doing and showcasing how you've been overcoming challenges. It's about inspiring the people around this through use cases and these stories and motivate them to achieve more, closer to their true potential. Second, there is the skill, your ability to drive innovation. Whether people come with a highly technical background or are self-learners in no-code, which today is not that challenging anymore and absolutely possible, it's about providing people with the right tools so they can leverage them and allow them to acquire new skills to drive this change in the organization. But all of this needs to be coming together through the environment in which they're operating, the organization around the individuals. And the right environment needs to be promoting a culture of innovation, empowering individuals, allow them to challenge the status quo, and embrace change. So if you bring those ingredients together, the will, the skill, and the environment, you're creating a sweet spot and you're setting yourself up for making business agility a reality in your organization. So I'm encouraging you, don't wait for innovation to find you, but rather seize the opportunity, and also today, make the most out of it. Get inspired, power up on will and skill, and then go challenge and change the environment. Own it, build it today. Thank you. Now, I'm going to hand it over to our incredible product team. They will share some more on our product vision and roadmap with all of you. At the very end of that, you're going to have Patrik, our co-founder, coming here on stage with a very major announcement for all of you. And I'm sure it's going to be mind-blowing and it's going to be epic, so stay tuned. But first, let's welcome on stage our awesome VP of Product, Darin Patterson.
Take it away. Good morning, movers, shakers, and makers. How are you feeling today? All right. I like that energy. We have to keep that up. You know, there are few things more energizing to me than standing in an entire auditorium full of innovators and dreaming about the future and how we can bring that to life. That's why I'm excited to share with you our vision of the future with Make, where we're headed and how Make can continue to unlock the innovation in all of us, in all of our colleagues, and many more people across the globe. Now, all product visions are actually first rooted in a clear and pervasive challenge. It's our reason for existing. For many of us, this is exactly what motivates us to get out of bed in the morning and go tackle the day head on. Now, just a few moments ago, we heard Fabian talk about the fundamental challenge that exists across all businesses, that need for continual innovation and the ability to rapidly respond to constant change. Now, those are two enormous challenges on their own, but we also know that those challenges have to be done across any number of tools, systems, people, like a cheetah, agile, right? I'm just ready to respond to whatever's thrown. Across a huge number of tools, systems, people, departments, teams, even external partners, and often we've been told for years and years the most important dynamic of a business is teamwork, but it actually turns out it's seamwork. It's the stuff that happens between teams, between systems, between departments, between individuals. That's where the real magic happens at the most successful companies in the world. And when you're a small company or a group of people, you actually have limited resources and you struggle to bring together and to connect a best-of-breed solutions. And ironically, as you grow, you have more resources, but complexity actually grows along with you. Larger teams and businesses can actually struggle to remain agile, adopt new processes quickly, and keep that culture of experimentation and continual learning alive. And these challenges, they actually exist across your entire business. Businesses have to juggle a huge number of processes and functions, making sure that each creates a fantastic customer experience that helps you stand out among your competitors. Everything from connecting new leads on your website, to completing projects, serving your customers' issues, and onboarding employees, and even things like financial reporting. The one thing that we all know, all these processes, these functions, these departments, well, they change all the time. This is where innovation actually thrives. That's where we get our energy from. So as we consider our reason for existing, to enable innovation and for our customers to rapidly respond to change, we know that there are three core pillars that are critical for us to deliver on in order to meet our customers' needs. First, our customers must be able to create solutions to any number of problems quickly and ensure that those solutions can actually scale with them as they grow their business. Second, we know our customers need to respond to changes in the market. The economy, their vendors, their competitors, their customers, and they have to embrace continual improvement. It's about continually trying new things and adapting as you go along. It's about a culture of experimentation and learning, continual improvement. And third, we know that our customers must walk that magic balancing act between democratized engagement, where anyone can solve a problem, and the right level of governance through shared ownership within an organization. Now, to help us get a better understanding of what this all really means in Make, the actual product that all of us know and love, let's take a moment to imagine a little bit of the future and try to understand what this means for Make customers like you. I want to share with you a story to help us all understand what the future might look like. It's a fictional story, but hopefully one that we can all relate to. Let's fast forward in time a little bit, maybe 3 years from now, and imagine an incredibly innovative company. I want to introduce you to that company. It's called Urban Sprout. They're a high-growth technology startup that's actually on a mission to feed the world's 8 billion people, and do it by enabling them to produce and consume their own food within their own homes. They actually help people enjoy healthy, homegrown, affordable food with 2 primary tools. Number 1, they leverage groundbreaking microclimate garden technology that can produce fresh, healthy food directly within your home all year round. And second, of course, they provide a subscription service that sends customers seeds to grow in your garden and even the recipes to leverage the produce at exactly the right time. Sounds pretty cool, right? That's a pretty sweet, digital-first, crazy innovative company, just like everybody here today. And of course, that's why they're a Make customer. Or maybe that's because they're a Make customer. You see, Make is actually a crucial element in Urban Sprout's rapid success. Now, of course, they have a single Make organization used by virtually every department and all employees that actually enable them to drive individual, team, and core processes. They've used Make to automate their entire value chain. But most importantly, they didn't see automation as this project or an initiative for this year. Actually, automating and iterating on everything they do, it's part of their culture. It's the way that individuals and teams in their organization think and act to get things done on a daily basis. You see, at Urban Sprout, anyone in any part of the business can actually visualize any of their core processes, from how they acquire those seeds and how they enable their customer referral program. They can actually see how all these processes relate to each other. They can zoom in or out to gain a more holistic view and understand how they deliver value to their customers. They can actually see what systems they rely upon and where, what processes are dependent upon which data, and they can even visualize processes that aren't fully automated yet. All of this is done, of course, in a playful and engaging way that deepens their understanding of their business and, most importantly, of their customers. And even as Urban Sprout has continued to add more and more teams and departments as they grow, these teams actually collaborate incredibly effectively. They're able to publish core events to their business that anybody else in the business can subscribe to. This enables other parts of the business to manage their own processes, but stay connected to what's most important and happening all around them. It's been incredibly helpful for Urban Sprout as they've rapidly leveraged a number of new delivery contractors to deliver those microclimate gardens and seeds for their customers. Anytime a new delivery agent is signed up by the contractor management team, a new event is broadcast to the rest of the business. That way, the procurement team, the fulfillment team, finance, legal, everybody stays on the same page and still has local control of their own processes and how to manage that independently. That concept is pretty incredible, but it even extends beyond the boundaries of Urban Sprout and enables them to stay on the same page with their network of contractors that are responsible for those local deliveries. They can securely publish information about customer orders, maintenance needs, and customer complaints. And those authorized contractors can subscribe to that information and even send messages back to Urban Sprout to indicate fulfillment or even service challenges. You see, Urban Sprout is innovating at every single level. Each team, person, and department at Urban Sprout is empowered to automate key processes that enable them to deliver on their team's charter. And with a detailed understanding of the power of automations, teams work cross-functionally to automate entire value chains that put customers at the center of their business. Handoffs are smooth and well-coordinated. Departments are supported by a center of automation excellence, and the entire organization operates with a high degree of automation maturity. And because Urban Sprout is able to move fast and try completely new things all the time, they're actually able to transform an entire industry. It's really hard to think of an industry older than feeding people, but Urban Sprout is actually applying modern technology to challenge the status quo and rethink old paradigms. Innovation is built into the company culture, and automation enables people to invest their time into creativity and thinking outside of the box. And of course, it's also important to recognize that Urban Sprout wasn't necessarily born this way. For many companies like them, they've been on a journey that's not just about automation and exactly how the automation works, but it's about their maturity in becoming a truly agile business. That journey brings them through multiple facets of automation maturity, each getting more sophisticated and powerful as they're led by a team of experts at Make or Make partners that guide them along the way. Yes, they're getting more value from lots of capabilities in Make, but it's way more than just features. It's how they think and how they act as an organization to get things done, and how they approach problems from change management to security and governance and even documentation. And it's because of these capabilities, this culture, and more, Make has been a key enabler for Urban Sprout to come closer to their mission of feeding the planet's people. Because of Make, Urban Sprout has been able to accelerate everything that goes into expanding into new regions. They're setting up entirely new supply and distribution channels in unprecedented time. Because of Make, Urban Sprout is one of the most innovative companies on the planet. They get fast feedback from their customers. They constantly improve their products and their processes. Good is never good enough. That's the slide. Yeah, there we go. Because of Make, Urban Sprout has a culture that is often dreamt of, but very difficult to achieve. Continuous improvement and experimentation are actually built in how they think and how they act. This passionate and creative workforce attracts other passionate and creative people to join, essentially creating a flywheel effect on the type of people that work at your organization. That's my dance, actually. Oh, I clicker. I like clickers. Thank you. Now, our vision of the future has enabled us to see what Make can do for a pretty amazing company, right? Now, let's actually take some time to understand what it really means and looks like for real, or maybe imagined, people that work at Urban Sprout. After all, companies are just a collection of individuals that work towards some common goal. And let's understand how Make actually impacts some of those people. I want to introduce you to Gabriel. Gabriel's a talent acquisition specialist at Urban Sprout. And Gabriel is crazy excited because he just landed a job at Urban Sprout, who's known as one of the best places to work. And when any employee starts at Urban Sprout, they're introduced to Make as one of their core business tools. Just like they're introduced to Slack and Gmail or Microsoft Teams or whatever the case it is, all their productivity tools actually includes Make. But I think all of you in the audience know, starting on day one, Gabriel couldn't possibly learn how to use Make to its fullest potential. Even on that first day, Gabriel actually immediately has access to a complete catalog of valuable, pre-built automations that he can immediately enable. Importantly, these automations were actually created and maintained specifically by and for employees at Urban Sprout. It's using their unique systems and processes already in play. Here on the screen, we can see an example where the top automation available to Gabriel is the ability for his Google Calendars to stay in sync with his time off, which happens to be managed in Workday. That makes sense? But to get started with that, rather than learning the scenario designer and understanding all the intricate details, he is still getting used to his new job. All he has to do is go through a simple wizard. He's entering information that is specific to him and his needs. And in this case, of course, he connects to Google and his Workday accounts. He enters a unique out-of-office message that shows off his unique personality and style. And whenever he's on PTO, he's set. He's up and running and getting value from Make. He can actually focus now on learning other parts of his new job during his first few weeks. Later on, of course, he's encouraged to leverage Make more to customize and tailor parts of his personal workflows to meet his specific needs. He's even encouraged to identify and contribute new examples that his colleagues might find useful. Now, when any Urban Sprout employee identifies a new way of automating some system, they share it and they publish it to others within the organization. Now, later on, Gabriel's getting more familiar with his job, and he feels more fully empowered and supported with a set of tools that enable him to do his most creative work. Here, Gabriel uses a library of existing Make agents to support common recruiting tasks without a ton of manual work. Gabriel requests the agent to go ahead and send an email with his availability for the next top 3 candidates that are applying for that engineering lead position, and go ahead and include a personalized introduction for each candidate. And of course, because the Make agent's actually connected, unlike other agents in the world that are connected to the tools in Urban Sprout's tech stack, it's able to immediately view candidate information, evaluate Gabriel's calendar, and go ahead and draft and send a personalized email immediately. Gabriel has never felt more powerful in his role. But of course, automating his personal and departmental work is not the only way Gabriel gets value from Make. He can also immediately visualize at a high level how the work he does connects to the rest of the organization. He could drill into any aspect of the process to see the big steps or the individual details of talent acquisition, and actually understand how they're all connected together. At his last company, it took him months to try to connect all these dots. And even once he did connect those dots, they changed all the time. So he could never figure out who to talk to for what, or even getting that personal satisfaction of knowing how what you do connects to the bigger picture of what your company is doing. I think that we can all safely say that Gabriel is well on his way to being a crazy successful Urban Sprouter. Now let's get a little bit deeper in the story and introduce you to Anna. Anna is passionate about making sure that Urban Sprout customers are well taken care of. And I want to introduce you to Enrique. Enrique loves to figure out how things work. He loves to connect the dots and make improvements continuously. He's a true innovator. He's a true maker, just like many of you. The thing is, Enrique and Anna, they actually don't formally work together. They haven't even met yet. They're in different departments, working across different locations entirely. However, Anna, she's recently been working on a project for Urban Sprout to try to figure out what causes negative customer experiences. And even though Urban Sprout has an avid customer base, she actually identified that some small set of customers have difficulty getting started with their first microclimate garden. Unhappy customers noted that it was confusing to set up once they received it. They weren't quite sure what to do. So she didn't have the perfect answer, but she knew she needed to figure out a way to help improve that experience and do it fast. Now, in the old way of doing it, she'd go walk around and ask her boss, a dozen other people, try to track down any possible documentation of who could help her solve this problem. But in the future, she uses Make to visualize the process of sending people their gardens. And with this information, she drilled into their microclimate fulfillment process. That's where she first learned about Enrique. His name was actually next to many of the processes used to automate their entire fulfillment to their customers. And when Enrique heard what Anna was up to, dude, this guy loves a challenge. They immediately set off to work together. Enrique and Anna, they spent a whole bunch of time brainstorming how they can improve this experience for customers and do it fast. They could, of course, approach the microclimate garden design team and redesign the entire product. That's super important feedback. Probably going to take too long. They could connect with a team that makes the quick setup guides that ship with the product. Yeah, it would actually take months to have an impact that way. They know they need quick wins to help their customers. And so working together, they look at opportunities to educate customers effectively and quickly. Now, Anna, she actually knows they have an amazing set of content on their YouTube channel already. So she uses Make to look at the processes to use to produce those. And she identifies a collaborator with some solid content creation skills to help create some new digital content. Now, all they have to do is figure out how to connect their customers to the right content at the right time. Well, you all know, Enrique, he was born for this. Using Make, he gets right to work. And even though Enrique, he thinks connecting customers with this content will help improve their satisfaction, he knows it's better to experiment and learn through tests and data. So he actually creates an experiment directly in Make that creates a variation of one of his scenarios. Specifically, this is the scenario he uses to manage all related delivery notifications. And of course, Enrique uses an evolved version of our scenario designer that many of you are familiar with today to modify that delivery notification scenario. It, of course, gets called by another scenario as part of their broader fulfillment process. It looks up information about their customers, figures out the right message to send, translates it to their local language, and, of course, sends them a message based upon their region. Pretty straightforward. But, of course, his scenario designer is even more advanced and evolved than the one you know and love today. He can interact with it using his voice and, of course, the Make AI assistant to go ahead and add a step before crafting the message to look at the right YouTube link from our Monday.com marketing content project. And go ahead and use the customer's preferred language to find the right link. Naturally, Make AI does the rest, adding the new module with a clear description in the right spot. Enrique makes a few final tweaks to the message to include the YouTube video, but of course, we're not quite done yet. Remember earlier, we actually made a variation of a scenario that's part of a bigger process. And of course, Enrique, he's set up Make so that he can manage small changes of an individual process without blowing up the entire thing. So he opens up the related scenario that calls this delivery notification scenario. Here, he can identify the inputs and, of course, see what outputs are expected. But beyond simply identifying which scenario to call and the inputs to send, Enrique actually leverages some advanced capabilities in Make to reinforce experimentation, learning, and business agility. He enables an experiment and allocates 50% of customer delivery notifications to be treated to the scenario variation. Of course, the other 50% are going to continue to receive delivery notifications in the same way they always have. And by doing this, later on, they can actually compare customer satisfaction between customers in the control group and their super fast experiment. Now, Enrique, he's pretty good at Make, but it would be kind of silly if he were a one-man show doing it all. So, of course, he completes and tests all of his changes in a simulated, non-production environment, just like you would do if you were coding this. Then, of course, he submits those changes to a colleague for them to review those changes and approve the production change to such a critical process. You want to take a guess what happens? Of course, the more they experiment, they improve, they automate core parts of the business, it's important for them to visualize and understand their entire process at the macro level and the micro level, to understand how all these parts connect and see the forest instead of just the trees. 1 month in, the results are obvious. Customers getting access to the additional instructional videos are more satisfied than ever. Enrique and Anna are already experimenting on ways to improve a connected experience that brings together the unique device, their first shipment of food, digital content, and everything else. This story, this is what it looks like to bring limitless innovation and business agility for real people. It's about how we can ensure that Gabriel can leverage the power of automations quickly. He's moving fast. He's making a difference in his organization. It's about how Enrique was able to experiment and learn together with Anna to embody true agility, and how the team was fully empowered to take on this challenge on their own. Nobody told them to do it. They took it on their own, but they had the right balance of governance so that things can be managed at scale. Now, all of these capabilities that we've seen illustrated in the story, man, we've actually started working on how we can bring all this to life through our product roadmap. So if you allow me the opportunity, I'm going to spend a little bit of time bringing it down to what are we building today and how are we bringing this vision to life for you and our customers. Sound like a plan? All right. Every product roadmap in the world starts with a disclaimer. The thing about the future is it changes, and that's awesome. I love it when it changes because it's exciting, and sometimes changes happen that you don't expect, and it can be challenging. So please be aware, everything we talk about is in the future. And while we think of our roadmap as in a highly structured way, we focus on driving increased productivity, improved governance, and new innovation, we've actually simplified our view today. Many of you will be familiar with it, which is to say, we're going to talk about what we're building at Make now. Literally, engineers, 3-hour car ride from here, are currently coding these things. We're going to talk about what's coming up next and talk about things that are coming later down the line. And of course, we're going to start with now. Many of the things that you'll see us building right now, right this moment, of course, focus on enhancing your experience in designing and maintaining fantastic scenarios that help drive your business. And we start off the top with an enhanced scenario notes process and capability to visually see and interact with the way you document and understand what's happening in a particular scenario. Everything from very small things like rich text editing in a particular note to communicate all the details that are important for that particular process, as well as visually seeing those notes and interacting with them effectively in the scenario canvas. We also understand how important and how incredibly valuable webhooks has increasingly become to our customers. Make has unique value propositions that enable you to do ridiculously crazy stuff with webhooks. At the same time, we want to make it as easy as possible for you to provide those unique and innovative services in as secure a way as possible. So we've heard feedback from you that you want to make it simple to ensure that webhooks are secure and that users can easily provide some set of credentials in order to be able to access that, and of course, do all of that without fancy scenario design or burning operations, simply validating that a webhook use is authorized. When we think about managing Make at scale, we often think about, unfortunately, errors. It's a reality that in the world of automation and integration, you're going to encounter at least one error in the world. And what we've done is actually deeply invested in a lot of advanced error management capabilities that are significantly different than any other solution on the market. But what we've worked on most recently is to ensure that even the most simple and basic, straightforward error management capabilities are on by default. So rather than having an error handler on every single one of your modules in your 100 module scenario, instead, simply turn on incomplete executions. Each one of those, when it makes sense, get retried automatically. When it doesn't make sense, of course, if I'm trying to insert a text string into a date field, then I have the opportunity to manage those incomplete executions and fix that in a very straightforward way. Beyond scenario design, we move into some of the capabilities that are important for you to manage Make at scale. One piece of feedback we've heard from many of our customers is, we love Make, and we want our colleagues in other departments to be able to try this out and begin automating processes. But of course, if I let them run amok, it's certainly easy that they're going to burn through resources and operations as quickly as we make it available to them. So it's important for us to have the control and capability to limit each team by a certain number of operations. And of course, as the organization administrator, being able to make those available to individual teams. We've also seen an incredible interest from the network of partners working with Make, technology providers, who are connecting Make to unique value propositions outside of what we've traditionally done. When we launched Make, we're incredibly excited about the ability for the Make API to automate the automation. But taking that a step further, we want to make it as simple and intuitive as possible for third-party technology vendors to connect to Make with OAuth 2 and enable that process to be intuitive for a user to authorize a third party to interact with Make on their behalf. And of course, any roadmap discussion of what we're building right now to enable continued evolution and innovation definitely includes a discussion about the types of apps. This is both what apps we're building and working with our partners to build and bring to market, with the focus, of course, on those AI apps being continued front and center, but also focusing on those systems of record that we know companies rely upon to run their business. Huge amount of value is actually unlocked by connecting these systems of record to the real-world work that happens every day. But of course, it's not just about what apps are automatically created and maintained by Make. It's also about how we can enable others, a broad network of people, to quickly create and connect to virtually any application in the world. That's why we're incredibly excited about the promises of an AI-powered app generator that enables me to point to some API documentation and immediately, within minutes, set up an app ready to go and connect to virtually anything. You're not required to clap at any particular point in time, but I read somewhere that developers actually code faster when they know that their customer's excited about what they're building. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad for that. Those are the things that are in progress now. We can't wait to bring those to life and, of course, get more feedback from you. Of course, we have a whole set of things that we're focused on next up on our roadmap. Those include the continued sprinkling of AI throughout the entire experience of our product. Whether I'm mapping one module to another, enabling that to go quickly and intuitively based upon the assistance of AI, or whether I'm designing or troubleshooting scenarios, everywhere throughout Make, where you interact with and create and maintain scenarios, we're continuing to pull in the power of generative AI to make that a simple and intuitive process. We talked earlier about error resilience and resolution. And one of those key aspects of error resilience is replaying and dealing with previous executions. If I've misconfigured a scenario accidentally and then had 100 webhook entries come in, I want to be able to fix that one scenario and replay those 100 webhooks quickly, easily, and intuitively to move on and support my business. We also recognize and heard feedback from you that sometimes Make is too fast. We actually might be the only software vendor in the world where it says, hey, it's too fast, can you slow it down a bit? But we hear that feedback, we understand why, and of course that's because you're interacting with third-party services on a regular basis, and so we want to give you a level of control to be able to understand how fast your scenario should be actually running, and of course interacting with third-party services. We've also heard from our customers one of the most significant barriers to creating automation and integration across their business is the very, very first step. Seems weird, but that very first step of connecting to a third-party service, providing my credentials, and of course getting authorization to interact with that third-party service, sometimes that's the biggest barrier to unlocking value in an organization. As such, we're invested in simplifying the process that sometimes interacts with a third person in your organization to be able to send requests to them. It includes all the proper OAuth scopes and all that dorky, geeky stuff, but enables them to simply provide their credentials so that you can then automate their life and make it easier for them without them being an expert in Make. We continue to invest in things that are going to bring additional observability to your organization. That means starting with the overhaul of our dashboard to make sure that you have access to the most relevant pieces of information immediately. That means I can understand my trajectory of operation usage and plan for the future and understand what are the scenarios that need my attention most that I can address right away. And as we think about those things get managed at scale across your organization, we, of course, need to deeply invest in parts of role-based access control that enable you much more fine-tuned control over who can do what when. We'll start with custom roles and, of course, continuing to invest in this area so that you can live up to that urban sprout vision where we saw Gabriel had the exact right permissions to be able to control things and others had their exact right permissions to be able to push those to production. And of course, we continue to focus on expanding that huge catalog of apps above and beyond 2,000, working both with our technology partners, both with our service partners, and of course, our own team to generate any number of apps so that you can always connect to whatever you need to at any given time. That's a lot, right? And of course, after next comes later, and later's my favorite because I get so excited. Later continues an evolution of how we work with sub-scenarios, providing not just scenario inputs, but also scenario outputs. Really thinking about a scenario as a layman's version of an API in your organization, right? It's a process you can control with your organization. People can provide inputs to it. They can get outputs, and you can even manage permission of who has the ability to run this. So when people talk about, can you generate an API gateway? I say, forget about APIs. You can run your business in this way, creating dynamic scenarios that accept inputs and provide outputs in a highly functional, highly scalable way. We've also heard feedback about how Make today is very good at processes that are immediate and run as fast as possible. We take a process, we run it through, and complete that process. But in the real world, some of your real-world automation use cases are longer. If you imagine, for example, an employee onboarding process that's completely automated in Make. At some point, we get them provisioned, ready to go within the organization. 30 days later, we want to send a survey to that person to say, hey, how's your onboarding going? Is it as awesome as Gabriel's onboarding at Urban Sprout? Of course, we want to pause our scenario for 30 days, wait for that time to elapse, and then, of course, resume additional steps that occur within the onboarding process in a simple and intuitive way. We also want to continue to improve the way that you build and test and troubleshoot scenarios. Many of you on their first day with Make, I almost guarantee you had another application window or browser window open where you're creating fake data over and over and over again and see how it works in Make. And so we want to enable you to quickly and easily test those payloads over and over again in Make without going to that third-party service. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to invest heavily into advanced role-based access controls that enable you to manage different groups with different permissions and all the right pieces to enable your organization to work at scale. As related to access controls, we understand the power of personal connections as just one of the types of assets that's critical for you to protect and ensure only the right people have access. So the ability to connect to a third-party service without simultaneously sharing your access to everybody else in the team. And last but not least, covering multiple concepts, it's very important for us, and we're laying the groundwork everywhere throughout the product roadmap, is this concept of scenario multi-stage deployment. To be able to, as we saw in the Urban Sprout story, to be able to try everything out in a non-production environment and ensure that those changes are seamlessly and smoothly pushed to a production environment with versioning and everything else related at the same time. I'm crazy excited about that. There's so much more to this roadmap. We wouldn't have time unless you want to spend the next 3 hours with me. Maybe we can do it tonight over drinks. That's a lot of good stuff to look forward to. I'm crazy excited, but also it's the case, normally when I get the opportunity to come and visit with customers and present the roadmap, I also normally get an opportunity to talk about some of the great new capabilities either we just barely released, which quite often our customers haven't even heard about, or the capabilities that we're about to release any minute. And today, if I were to be able to do that, it would include all sorts of things. It would include things like sub-scenarios. It would include really important things like editable connections. It would include an incredible new tool called Make AI Tools. It would include something critical to your success called audit logs. It would include a whole new analytics page, and it would include even more beyond that. However, I have some good news and I have some bad news for you. What do you guys want to hear first? Bad news. That's quite obvious. The bad news is you'll have to wait till this afternoon to get an incredible overview of several new capabilities that we recently made available. Some of those are actually already in your environment. I'll bet you don't even know it. And you can begin using them right away to drive further innovation and scale within your business. So I want you to come. Check out the release highlights of this presentation. This afternoon, after you're fully energized after lunch and you're ready to go, hear from the product managers that brought those capabilities to life. Now there was some good news, right? Yes, good news. There's just one more thing that we get to show off this morning. And in order for that to happen, it's going to require us to go back to our roots and think about all the steps that we took to get here.
In 2016, we took the first step on a journey to empower you with visual automation. And since then, we've been blown away by everything you make, the boundaries you've pushed, and the potential you've unlocked. When we hear from you, you don't just tell us about the scenarios you've created. You tell us about the jobs you've created. You tell us about the automation teams you've created. Even the businesses you've created built on the capabilities of Make. Since that very first step, hundreds of thousands of you have built more and more solutions, pulling in even more of the tools and services that you love. But the more solutions you've built, the more landscape you have to manage, all interconnected. Together, we've come so far from that first step. So we asked ourselves, what's next? Please welcome Make co-founder and CTO, Patrik Simek. and Make Principal Product Manager Bernhart.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Patrik.
I'm German.
And it's our great pleasure to be there with you and bring you our latest exciting innovation designed to make our platform even easier and more convenient for everyone. When we started in Integromat in 2016, we set out to democratize automation through visual-first, no-code approach. What you've done with the platform has been truly inspiring. We've seen you building incredibly powerful solutions for business-critical functions that completely blew our mind. Make has enabled these innovations. Make has empowered you to build these fast. But you didn't want to be fast only in the beginning. You want to stay agile all the time. You keep coming back, you adjust the solution, you improve the solution, you react to requirements from all around you. And while doing so, when growing and scaling and expanding, you inevitably face a challenge, the challenge of managing complexity. All those tools like Make, Airtable, Google Sheets, OpenAI, or objects like interfaces, tables, agents, they're all connected, and they all depend on each other. And when it comes to navigating this complexity, you really need to understand the connection so you can stay in control. And navigating that can be quite challenging.
It definitely can be quite challenging. So let's make it a bit more tangible and talk about the situations in which you actually encounter the complexity in your daily work, right? So we listened to you and we realized that there are actually various situations. Even a simple task like finding all usages of an object can be tricky. Ever try to find all usages of a Google Sheet because you wanted to replace it by a Monday board? Or all the different scenarios calling a certain webhook? It's not that easy. We also heard there are situations where you feel nervous or anxious about a change because you're not sure if it could break something. So you might want to change a field in Airtable or remove it or change a webhook response. And you're not sure if somewhere in your landscape there's something depending on it. And it might break as a consequence. Sounds familiar? Yeah? OK, glad. And so far, we've been talking about the solutions you build yourself. Anyone ever try to understand the bigger picture of a solution someone else built? Coworker might be on PTO? Those are only some of the examples. Overall, the complexity makes it challenging, or can make it challenging, to maintain solutions, to grow, expand, evolve solutions, and to ensure that there's a common understanding across your team or organization how things work. All of those are crucial, though, for the business agility that Fabian and Darin were talking about before. And we've seen that, therefore, you invest a lot of time and energy to deal with the complexity. We've heard about complex naming conventions, which you develop and follow, resulting in huge scenario names, or drawings like mirrors, whimsicals, lucid charts, which you integrate in your documentation. You add some dependency tables to it, all that despite the fact that the next change might render it outdated, right? And I, so far, haven't met anyone who enjoys updating documentation, but perhaps I should keep searching. So that's like, some of you even build your own custom tooling. We've seen great examples, actually. But all of it takes a lot of time and energy. Time and energy which you could also use to innovate further. And therefore, we, and especially this guy, want to make it easier for you.
You exceeded our imagination of what can be done and motivated us to think, how can we make it even easier and convenient for you to keep your no-code stack organized so you can move fast? We didn't want to bring you just another drawing tool, dependency list. We wanted to bring you something better, something that's true to Make's visual-first approach. Wouldn't it be cool if you can just see what you and your teammates are building and how everything connects together? And wouldn't it be also very cool if the part of what Darin was talking about as a 3-year vision actually happens today? So for the very first time, please let us introduce you Make Grid. A visual grid of your no-code landscape for you to see and understand what you've built so you can keep building fast and with confidence. So let us show you how it works.
So we're going to do a live demo, but just quickly setting the stage. So that's fine.
Thank you.
We're going back to OpenSprout, the company Darin introduced, but not OpenSprout 3 years from now, but OpenSprout today. So they used to have a problem with the amount of service desk tickets. They had a great knowledge base, but it was just too many tickets to handle. Then AI arrived. So they saw the potential, created a prototype, iterated quickly. Turns out to work very well for the purpose, but they keep on improving, right? So they log all requests in a Google Sheet with the response. They rate them. They classify them. They continuously analyze what the bot does to improve it. But now they want to add additional channels. And to be able to deal with the load, they need to put the setup to the next level. The Google Sheet just can't handle the load and also is not as performant as they want it to be. So Enrique, I think Enrique was the guy from OpenSprout, right? Sorry, it's a live demo, so something needs to go wrong. Not sure what yet. So Enrique goes back to one of his scenarios, right? He remembers it. It's waiting for new emails, creating a reply with an assistant, replying, and apparently not logging itself, but triggering the login. So what can Enrique do? Actually, with the grid, it's now very easy. What he can do is he can basically zoom out of the scenario and enter the grid. So let me do that. And this is where he ends up, right? What he sees is not only the scenario, that's the scenario, but all the internal and external objects the scenario interacts with. So there's the mailbox, where it's looking for new emails. There's the AI assistant. And apparently, behind the HTTP module we saw, it's triggering a webhook. So what Enrique can do is he can just navigate along. So we see the webhook. Apparently, there are various scenarios triggering the webhook, which in turn triggers this scenario. OK, we keep following that. And we see that apparently that's the scenario that writes the requests to the Google Sheet we were talking about, right? So we can get to that Google Sheet. We can see all the scenarios that interact with the Google Sheet and even how. We can also, no need for any notes in the scenario with the URL anymore. We can simply open the Google Sheet. OK, it's messy. It's messy, we want to replace it anyways, but OK, we can get there. And now what Enrique sees is all the scenarios that interact with it. So if he wants to replace it, that Google Sheet, that's all the information he needs to know, basically, to be able to not break anything. So he can get to work. even if you didn't want to fully replace it, but just do a change, what the grid also tells him about is which of the attributes and properties of that Google Sheet are used by any scenario or which of the scenarios. So here you can see the list of all these columns, apparently, in that Google Sheet that are used, which is also available for Airtable, which I think should be, from what I heard, quite relevant to some of you as well, right? So seeing which attributes are used where, the grid will solve it. So overall, I would say Enrique doesn't have to worry about dependencies anymore. He can do his changes with confidence. It's not only about the dependencies, though. What he can also do, he can take a step back, right? He can look at the solution holistically and just see it. See all the objects involved, how they interact, how the data is flowing through the system. So when he's coming back the next day to do something, he doesn't have to remind himself of how did it work. He can just immediately get to work, which also helps his coworkers, right? There are other builders in Urban Sprout, as we've heard, so they can come in, understand the bigger picture, and start collaborating. Oh, almost forgot again about the most important aspect. Thank you. The best is, at least in my opinion, all of that is auto-generated, right? So no configuration needed, not a single click. All of that is auto-discovered from the scenarios, and therefore also will be updated automatically. So it's going to be up to date all the time. And finally, it's not only helpful for the builders. I mean, we have many of you are building scenarios. It also helps other stakeholders within the company. So at Urban Sprout, they recently did a privacy review of the AI bot, right? And the privacy officer actually, I mean, she could come in and help them, or quickly grasp how it's working, how data is flowing, from where it's flowing where, and which changes she would actually need to make it compliant. So that improved her life dramatically. And also Andy, their CTO. Actually, I mean, he sleeps very well nowadays because, I mean, let me remove the filter here. I mean, you see. There are other use cases as well, but I mean, he now knows that complexity is not a problem anymore, right? Whoever has to get involved can understand how things work, can start contributing, and help Urban Sprout to innovate further. So that's the grid and how it works.
Thank you, German. Amazing demo. And I only have one question. What do you think? Do you like it? And of course, this is just the start. There's a bold vision, so let me tell you about the future. We've shown you that grid can consist or can recognize symbols or objects not only from Make itself, but also from other tools. So the next logical step for us is to bring even more details from all those tools into one place so you can access them directly from the grid. Next, we also recognized that there is more in the no-code world that we can auto-discover, so we will bring more tools for you to annotate and bring even more details into the grid, and again, keep everything centralized and create one connected documentation that updates automatically. And last but not least, as German said, we heard quite some excitement from different roles, like InfoSec or privacy, that this is the missing view for them to understand how the sensitive data, for example, flows through the no-code systems. So you can expect us to bring even more views in the future for more roles. So this is a bold vision, but this is a vision we are excited about and we are actively working towards. And this is a vision that's inspired by you and we can't wait for you to get your hands on the grid. And Make Grid is available in private beta today. So if you're interested in joining us on this journey, please sign up and join our waitlist. And also, you might have noticed we have a very nice demo booth in the atrium, so you can meet the whole team behind Grid. So please come, give it a try, ask questions, give us the feedback. That's all we can ask, and we're going to use all of that to shape the product to the future. So with that, I would like to thank you, and please welcome Fabian back to stage.
Wow, what an amazing update for all of you here today. I hope you're as excited as I am about everything we've seen this morning, what's coming, what's happening, and what we're working on to shape our future here. It's been incredible to see, and I'm really excited for the day ahead of you, ahead of us all. But before we go there, I would like to extend a huge thank you to the entire amazing team behind Make that's making all of this possible. Not only for making possible what you see in our product, what you saw in our product presentations today, but also interacting with all of you, our customers, our partners, and also making this event possible. It's so much effort, and I hope you will enjoy the day today. And it would also not be possible without our partners and sponsors that are here among us today and are sponsoring the event. Thank you very much for that. So, a very heartfelt thank you from myself and the entire team. And now, before we go out there, I would like to briefly remind you about this recipe that I was speaking earlier about. It's about the will and the skill and the environment to innovate. So, today is your chance to power up on all three of these dimensions. There is so many good sessions today where you can learn from the world's leading no-code and automation experts. You have Meet the Maker sessions where you can get in touch with our team to power up on skill. And you can get so much inspiration of how are others approaching it, and really soak in this energy day to day, please, and really bring it to life as you go home and change your business environment. So let's kick off this day together and really enjoy. Thank you very much.